Hello, welcome to Inspired Caring. I'm your host, Michele Magner. If you are caring for an older family member, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I bring insight, tips, inspiration, and strategies to help you care for the people that you love without losing yourself along the way. Having cared for both of my grandmothers, I've helped manage everything from hospital stays, households full of belongings, to navigating senior living and end-of-life care. And I've worked in senior living as a result of that experience, serving my residents and their families as they've been on this journey too. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Inspired Caring. Hello. It has been a hot minute since I have been with you. I had several incredible guests over the last few weeks, and it's just been a long time since we've just sat down and chatted together. So here I am. Wanted to catch up and talk about something that recently came up that I think is worth a little bit of reflection. So quick life update. I had the opportunity to go present at a conference in San Francisco. That's been really amazing. I've been teaching a class at Creighton University with these wonderful, incredible health administration program students. These young women are just so bright, and I'm so excited that they're choosing healthcare as their field. I'm taking mental health and aging this semester for my program, which has been very interesting, and I'm learning a lot. And my mom is coming in a couple weeks because it is October 25th as this episode is going up. So she is going to come with Papa Ron, and we're going to have a faux Thanksgiving. We're going to get together the week before Thanksgiving, so that will be delicious and relaxing. I got to see my sister and my dad and stepmom. So I don't know. My kids are good. My husband is good. I'm working with a decorator. I know that sounds so bougie and poshy, but like I've had an empty room in my house for 13 years. It's like we're always struggling to ask for help, and I just realized I obviously needed help. She's so funny. She was asking me about drapes and what I wanted about something, and I was like, if I knew that, there'd be something up, but I have no idea. And she's amazing, and we laughed, and she of course had lots of ideas. So things are moving along in our home just to make it more nest-like and cozy. The marching band season is wrapping up, so Logan, tomorrow is the state competition for him and his bandmates, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just like in that space where things are floating along in a really lovely way and maybe even trending upwards, which always feels good. Which kind of leads me to the topic for today. Last week, I co-hosted a virtual Caregiver Summit with Kaley Johnson of the Healthy Caregiver, and we had 13 incredible national speakers and global thought leaders who came onto the show with us, the summit with us, different sessions, and they opened their hearts and shared their expertise on just this wide variety of topics. And I will put a link in the show notes to that Facebook group where all of those sessions were recorded, and you can go back and watch the replays. So that's really cool. But one of these speakers was Jess Ronne, who is a mom turned documentary filmmaker and just one heck of a mover and shaker. Her 20-year-old son, Lucas, was born with profound disabilities. Her documentary is called Unseen: How We Are Failing Parent Caregivers and Why It Matters. And it is rattling America, really to our core, which is a good thing to raise awareness of how the system is broken for parents and families with kids with extremely high level needs. And not only has she been the primary caregiver for her son, but when her kids were little, her husband was diagnosed with cancer, and so she became his caregiver too until he passed away. And I'm listening to Jess share her story and this incredible roller coaster of her actual life. And the question that kept rolling through my head was, how is this woman not only still standing, how is she surviving, and how on earth has she managed to fall in love again, remarry, combine their families, including having another child, plus care for her son and other children, create this documentary film, and then they have subsequently created a group home for her son to live in with peers. Like, it's totally astonishing. How is she doing this? So I asked her, how is this possible? Like, where are you finding, and it's not even like inspiration and motivation, like this feels primal. Like, how are you finding the sheer grit and resilience and determination to not just continue every day, but also create in the world something to help other people? Again, it's very awe-inspiring. And she brought up fight, flight, or freeze. And she recognizes that her instinct is to fight. And she dives headfirst right in, tackles the thing head on from having all of these emotions and all of the bodily responses, pulsing cortisol, adrenaline that comes from fighting for something that you care so deeply about. It just doesn't feel optional. Like, this is part of her makeup. It's part of who she is. It's her DNA. You just do it. And when she said this, I immediately knew what my fight, flight, or freeze response is. And then I immediately judged myself for the primal reaction that I tend to have, because my response is to freeze. I freeze. I get frozen. I become very, very still. And I can reflect on so many times as a family caregiver, as a parent. I mean, we've got 3 kids. And so when one of our kids was sick, or it just felt like they were in danger or trouble, or when my husband and or I have struggled mentally or physically, I can feel my body slow way down. And I just think, my thought is no sudden movements. No sudden movements. I can almost picture myself like kind of crouched over with a wide stance and my arms out to the sides and my head on a swivel. Just terrified. No sudden movements. Looking around for the danger. And it's hard to feel like that has served me. I mean, obviously, here I am. I'm standing here today, or sitting, as the case may be. But I just drop into what needs to happen immediately, like in the next minute, hour, few days, or weeks. And then I begin to wipe away everything else. So I was first curious why I judged myself for this being my instinctual response. And honestly, I think it is because of my ego, which that is like a whole nother can of worms. I don't know why can of worms is our phrase and why we get nervous about opening cans of worms. But I think that actually would be a great podcast episode, talking about our ego as we are aging, our ego as we are family care partners. But when I think about the freeze response in terms of when I've been a family caregiver, it's impossible for me not to think about what I could have accomplished by now and how many more people I could have helped if I had had more of a fight response than a freeze response. And I remember my dad years ago telling me, when Todd and I lived in Kansas City, we lived there for 16 years. It's where we had all our babies. It's where we cared for the grandmas. And my dad had told me about people who were making it a job, a career, to help other families figure out which assisted living that they should go to and they should choose for their loved one. And I thought, I mean, no. I have 3 small kids, and I was eyeball deep with my grandma, and there was just no way that I would have any bandwidth or space to do something like that. And also, I actually really struggled with belief in myself and my ability and capacity. I mean, it's genuinely taken 2 more decades for me to get to a place of belief that I am enough and capable, and working through my fear to step into things. So that I froze. I was like, there's no way that I could do something like that right now. And I remember being in Kansas City and going online, and I had discovered the word gerontology, because I just loved my grandma and the seniors and aging population and assisted living so much. And I had searched gerontology programs, and UNOs actually had come up, but I didn't do anything about it. Nothing. I just thought, no, I don't have the space for that. And then even recently, I had started the Master's in Gerontology program in 2017. And when my father-in-law was diagnosed with cancer, I stopped going to school. I was like, well, I've completed the master's certification, so I'm halfway through the master's program, but I thought I cannot work and be a mom and be a family caregiver and do school. I just froze. I was like, well, all of this is on hold. And honestly, just saying those words out loud, my heart starts racing, and I can just feel myself having a response to that, because I can feel my anxiety rising, just thinking, my instinct is to just freeze. So anything that is perceived as extraneous is going away. I'm not doing it. This fascinates me. And I'm guessing there is an evolutionary reason why we have these different instincts. How many of us would have survived different situations in the past had our instinct been different? The whole saber-toothed tiger thing. I mean, obviously there's a mix of us with different responses, and that ensures our species will stay alive. But what if instead of freezing, my ancestor would have had more of a fight response? Could they have had a better outcome? Humans are the only species that questions and second guesses themselves, which I'm doing right now, which is hilarious. And I think this is probably good and bad for a variety of reasons. Good is that we can obviously learn and then do something differently going forward. But what stands out as bad is how much time we spend ruminating and worrying, which is a tremendous waste of our time and precious energy. But when it comes to our current day modern lifestyle, we find we're using our instincts that tend to keep us then in a high rev, high cortisol state for prolonged periods of time, which we know leads to inflammation, which we know leads to chronic disease. And I've been rewatching Sex and the City, and so now I can hear Carrie Bradshaw's voice in my head as she types out the questions for her column, at the beginning of the episode. Can we change our instincts? Do we need to change our instinctual responses? Is it possible to have different responses in different situations? Or how can we have a heightened awareness and then adapt our go-to response to be something that serves us better? Is that possible? So I'm curious for you, how is your, or what is your go-to fight, flight, or freeze? And how is it serving you or not? So I was thinking about my own response, that freeze response, and how is it serving me? I am great in a crisis. I am really good in a crisis because I immediately go into high alert protective mode of my person or people. I can quickly ascertain the situation and figure out what needs to happen next. I am able to guilt-free minimize my calendar, like wipe everything away and focus on my priority. And actually, when I freeze, I still have this adrenaline pump, and it reminds me to be in my body, and it reminds me that I need to regulate my nervous system. Now, my ability to do that varies. I think all of the work that I've done and then created to share with you around thoughts and values and expectations, all of that has helped me tremendously with regulating my nervous system. But that freeze, head on a swivel, look around, it does remind me to get present and be in my body. So how is it not serving me? I am not open to new ideas or things unless you are telling me it is going to immediately solve my problem. My prefrontal cortex for planning that long game just completely shuts down. I tend to go into victim mode, which keeps me still and small and stuck. In the past, I've had no problem letting the world know that I am a victim. I do feel like I have gotten better about this. I'm trying to be more intentional and aware. And I did that whole episode on how to share bad news. And I think that really speaks to this victim mode. There's something about being frozen with my head on a swivel that erodes my trust in people, in the system. And this is something I need to further explore and deep dive within myself, because I'm realizing that when that trust gets a little bit eroded, it takes time to rebuild. And I may not get back there with someone or something. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, just being curious about that. I mentioned that the adrenaline allows me a reminder to be present and in my body, but how that's not serving me is I do get this like manic, everything is an emergency state of mind. Like my nephew, he was 2 years old, 3 years old, and we were on the Santa Cruz beach boardwalk, and there was a Ferris wheel, and my sister took her oldest son and my 2 older daughters onto the Ferris wheel, and I stayed with our 2 little boys, and they were 3 years old. And I had looked up and said to the boys, wave, wave. And I looked down, and my little nephew was gone. Gone. On the Santa Cruz beach boardwalk on a glorious, beautiful, hot, sunny day, and it was packed with people. And immediately I'm like, freeze, head on a swivel, looking for my nephew. I point at this woman, this random woman walking by, this poor woman, and I said, you have to help me find my nephew. And she was just like, hella calm. And she looked at me and said, well, what does he look like? I was like, how are you so calm right now? And thank God, thank you, Lord Jesus, we found him like immediately. He was over at the little ducky pond thing station looking at rubber duckies. But the point is I get this manic, everything is emergency, you have to help me right now place. And how maybe this freeze instinct is not serving me is that when things slow way down, I close down my world and I shut people out. So over time, that can become very isolating. Like I just stop communicating with people. So, my dear friend, what is your instinct? How is it serving you? What could having a heightened awareness about this do for you? Obviously, like I said, I'm here today. I opened with things are going really well. We're just in this really beautiful state of mind. I'll tell you, when we're not in a crisis or in that mode where we have to be in freeze, fight, or flight, I do think this is why I push myself so hard and do these sprints. I don't know if it's like I'm trying to catch up, but I definitely feel like this is our one life to live, and I just want it to be so juicy and squeeze everything I can out of it. So I do a lot in these sprints when I'm not in a crisis state, because I know that when I am, my instinct is going to be to freeze. I love you. I hope you're doing well. I'm thinking about you. I see you. And in the show notes, I will put the links for the Healthy Caregiver Facebook group so that you, if you are interested in going back and seeing the replays of all of our amazing speakers, you can do that in the Healthy Caregiver. And then I'll put the link to the documentary, Jess Ronne's documentary, Unseen, also in the show notes. So I hope you're doing well. And I look forward to being with you again next week.